Hello, my name is John Sellings and I work for Rockkiss Digital Media Entertainment, and I'm just going to take you through the recording of our opening theme for our Kickstarter project, Grumps Quest. Now this is done in Pro Tools, and as I was also editing the video, once we'd signed off a version, I was able to take that back with me, and as you can see here, I've got a low-res version in Pro Tools, so I can actually kind of see what's going on musically along with what music we're composing. So I'll quickly take us through the various kind of sounds and instruments. And the first thing I would have done is basically lay down what's called a click track, which is this. And then that's kind of timed reasonably roughly actually in this case, but enough to give me enough information so that I could lay down the drum tracks. And once the drum tracks were laid down, I can lay down the music, and I knew the time was going to be correct. So let's mute the click track, and we'll bring on the drums. There they are, with quite a lot of effect on there, and that was laid down using just a keyboard and using what's called MIDI, which I'll show you here. And basically each of these is one hit on the drum, and the advantage with this is I can basically lay this down and then adjust this by actually moving around MIDI or moving what key and note the MIDI represents. So it's really good. It gives you a lot of sort of flexibility with things. So I'll just close that, and we'll go back and we'll have a listen through to the various sort of sounds that we were using. So we had a sort of low-end cello thing. Now the problem with computer stuff is that it doesn't always sound quite like the instrument you want, but with you know, some effects and layering and stuff, and sort of bringing stuff in just to try and fill out space, you can kind of make a pretty good sounding piece. So even this kind of cello that doesn't quite sound like a cello, but in there it kind of fills out the mix. And this should be a violin, and again, it doesn't sound 100% like a violin, but once it's in the mix it kind of works and kind of fills out the space it needs to. So there you can hear those in together. And the main instruments that we had in this were the choir, and in this we had a sort of male voice, again to give that kind of sort of ominous feel, and then the female voices to kind of give it that sort of I don't know, Lord of the Rings kind of sound stuff. And there was two versions of the female voice. One, well, both basically were mixed slightly differently. One is kind of a lot more effects on it, which is this second one. So you get, it's for the higher notes, so it just softens them off and makes them not quite so harsh, which helps in the mix of them. So I'll just bring those all in together. And then we've got such things as you heard there, a little bit of a cymbal splash. Again, subtle and just to help the effect. And then this really is kind of the core root of what's going on sound-wise. And this was the first bit that I recorded musically after the drums, just to kind of give the basic chords and the basic notes of what's going on, and then you kind of build stuff up after it. And again, this kind of gives it that bit more of a anthem feel to it, and once you get all of that in there, it starts to fill out the space where needed. Another interesting thing was the low drone, and I use this very much at the start and then keep it all the way through, sort of quite subtle, just sitting under there, just playing the root notes, and sometimes also leading away from the sort of very root notes, just to give it a slightly different feel. And this was actually not used in the final piece. The director didn't like this very much, so we basically cut this. It's kind of just a preset sound of violins doing that kind of that sort of sound, and it kind of worked, but it was not quite what they was wanted, so we ended up cutting that. But then that's the advantage with this, I can easily move stuff around, obviously very quickly mute stuff, and achieve a sound that we want. So once that was all finally done, it was basically then to mix it. And as you can see, I can sort of turn stuff up and down, turn certain levels. Some stuff, for instance, as you see there, is actually is programmed to be at certain volumes, so the faders here don't work. It's kind of like a flying fader situation. Basically what you can do is then mix everything, get everything at the right level, get everything working where it needs to work, so the bass stuff is working at the bottom end and not maybe doing so much at the top end, and vice versa, so the female choral voices are working at the top end and not so much at the bottom. And in that then we also have effects here, and so each of these will have different effects, and this is for instance our sound. So if I quickly mute this, solo this even. So this is our drums, and in this we're also adding basically this is an EQ, so I'm picking out certain frequencies that I want, so I'm taking out a lot of the mid but then giving some of the low end and probably just cranking it a little bit too much, but I tend to ride things sort of quite hard as such. And then a drum effect on there, basically a reverb. There's quite a nice preset on there just to give it that kind of big sort of anthemy sound, and then a compressor which is going across it, and basically a compressor limiter. Basically that is just keeping a check on what level is being output, so it kind of tightens the sound up. Okay, so once that's done, I will then take it into a program called Audition and master it, which we'll deal with maybe a bit later in our tips and tricks tutorial. And that's pretty much it in terms of looking at Pro Tools. There's a lot more to it, and as I say, we'll be doing tips and tricks where we'll look at some little ways of making things a lot easier, especially if you're not really a keyboardist or like myself. The way you can sort of cheat and basically move stuff around, especially using MIDI, so it's very, very, very handy. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope that we get to hear from you. Please feel free to check out our website, which is www.rockhiss.co.uk, and definitely check out Grumps Quest. Thank you.